what's up? Trying to find us some music to enjoy for our showing. Sorry about that. Loose dress, loose dress, loose dress. Ooh. All right, so I am doing a lot of work. I wish I had better light quality. Hold on one second. That's my mom. Hello? Nope, I don't even have it. I said I was gonna give you what you call them next Friday because we get 2 weeks from now. Huh? Yeah. Yep. Yeah, they booted me out, but that's okay. I got back in though. Yeah. I told them about it. They know it because I gotta go tomorrow. I gotta go tomorrow. So I gotta call Elijah tonight too. I said I gotta go call Elijah tonight. See if he gonna be able to go. Oh man, let me call you right back. I'm trying to fix this. All right. Whew. All right. Whew. Sorry about that. One of the reasons why I think I need a video editor. All right. So, all right. Title of this live stream here is called "When Will We Get It?" And I wanted to start off by talking about some of the things that's happening currently amongst us in this society, as well as what do we need to do to shift um, our view, our focus, the patterns that we as Black folk, our indigenous people, um, have dwelled in for so long. The reason why I said that I wanted to start off and I wanted to talk about those things, don't you move that light, put it back right there. First was because I feel like in order for us to actually move forward, we got to first start with some of the issues that we have in our community. All right. Black men and women have at least on Instagram. That's where I am most of the time. Um, but we have a healthy, divisive existence between us. And I often try to say, because me and my old man, we talk about these things a lot. Um, and he is very strongly opinionated. Hopefully, when my channel grows, even before that, I can get him here and we can just have a discussion. Um, and maybe when we do, I would be able to get him to understand where I'm coming from as a Black woman living in America. All right. For the most part, like we have some of the same viewpoints when it come down to the situations that are happening and what's going on, in our general um, community where we're from. I'm gonna tell you that right now, or just the people based off of our own experience, our own background experiences that we have. And so oftentimes everybody's going off of that. Like some man is in under a post and he's coming from an area that's relatable, but it's also related to his individual situation or his brother's individual situation or his cousin's individual situations. I am a woman that has been through um, many things. I have been through many things when it come down to the opposite, sex. And I want to say that hasn't made me bitter. And one of the things that we do is we infiltrate the meat, the stock of the soup with poison because of where we come from, um, as it pertains to our situation. So, listen, this is gonna be hard for most women to swallow, but I'm gonna just tell y'all this, all right? Some of us are acting in an unfair and an unjust manner when it comes down to these men and these children. All right. I, for one, coming from the history that I had, I would love to have a man that is trying to actively be involved in his children's lives. You know what I mean? Calling for them, coming, taking them places on their birthdays, spending time with them. If they have an interest in basketball, he's teaching them what he knows about basketball, directing them, guiding them, helping them grow up to be men, or giving them advice as a girl, you know, on things that maybe I was too busy to focus on at the time. You know what I mean? That is what I would have loved. And then every time I meet men, whether, and it's, I'm not talking about dating them, I'm talking about just having a conversation with them. I oftentimes run into men that, excuse me for 1 second, because I know that's going to annoy y'all, because it is annoying me. All right. But anyway, so getting things together, all right, starts with that as a foundation. You know, we are becoming a group of people that are unloved and unliked by others and ourselves. You know, I had a talk with my 18-year-old son, and something had happened. He was like, "Oh, I hate living around such, black people." And I'm gonna be candid with y'all. I'm gonna be real too, but I'm just gonna let y'all have it as authentic as I can, because that's what I want to do. In order to produce the truth, I have to be real about certain things. I can't hide or sugarcoat nothing. And I told him, well, like, I get it, because I sometimes stumble up on that and say the same thing, but I do have a healthy love for my people. However, I just hate the way we treat each other on jobs, at your own job, when I'm coming to visit your job at Walmart, Popeyes, McDonald's. I can tell a black person on the phone if I call Apple. I can tell if and it's crazy. You know what I mean? Because it shouldn't be like that. So I want to go back to what I was talking about before. And I am doing When the World Was Black, as I told y'all before. I am going to, I can't figure out whether or not I want to read this book and go along with you guys and then break down my viewpoints on what I know, because they have a lot of information in this book. And I know everybody's not going to go and buy it. Everybody probably don't have the time to buy it right now. It's not like it's a very expensive book. I think I paid like $25 or 30 some dollars with tax on Amazon. But this is a very interesting book. It'll help put some of the people back into perspective, or back into the truth. Because one of the things that I see is trendy right now amongst us is when you hear somebody saying something about, for instance, they got a guy on Instagram that I follow. I won't share his information because I haven't asked his permission and I don't want to get in trouble, but I'm quite sure he wouldn't mind. But I don't know him. I just follow him. He's always posting some informative stuff on his page, as well as some very interesting topics that he bring up. And, he's just sitting up there casually talking, and posting his stuff on Instagram, like everybody has a right to do. And it was about Dr. Llaila Afrika. All right. And Dr. Llaila Afrika, that's Llaila Afrika, Afrika. You need to Google him on Instagram, because my significant other has enlightened me to this brother. All right. And I was watching one of his videos. I don't want to pull it up now because it's going to prolong my thoughts. That I sent, and I shared it with my sister. And I told her that I think she needs to watch it. And it's something that I'm even thinking about starting, like a private family teaching, where I take the little children in our family and I teach them true real African American or indigenous history. One of the, before I get into this, Layla Africa, one of the, I saw a video that may have come across this gentleman's page that I'm talking about. And it was an African sister. And she was talking about how everything that we know comes from the white man. All right. She's like, nothing was good or existed until the white man found it. You understand what I'm saying? When he went to Egypt, nobody was talking about Egypt until the white man found it. And then he gave us the information on Egypt. And when he came here to what we call the United States, nothing was good about this place until he found it. And then when he found it, that's when things started to develop. But before he got there, before anybody sailed and got off of their ships or boats and started to explore the places that they were exploring, people were already here. Civilizations were already here. And that's what this book talks about. And so that's what led me to Mr. Africa and his teaching, Africa, in his teachings. First of all, this man is, I think, a scientist. He's also a nutritionist. And he has some type of intellect, studied intellect, I should say, and holistic medication or ways to heal the body and things of that nature. All right. That goes hand in hand, I guess, with being a nutritionist. All right. And this guy right here, Runoko Rashidi, is not a historian, but a historiographer. All right. And this is a person who goes beyond the historical facts and digs and search for information of truth pertaining to a certain thing. All right. And that's why I like this book. He also has references in this book. But anyway, one of the things that I want to talk to you about Dr. Layla Africa is on this guy's Instagram page, like I begin to say, dude was underneath there, but there was a video clipping. I saw the video, and there was a clipping that was talking about melanin and who has melanin and what that means to have melanin. All right. And how that is how that reflects who the original people are. All right. And so one guy, black, gets under there and he says he had me, but every time I see people like this and they start talking about melanin and how everybody has melanin, it's just that we have a higher level of melanin than most people. And so I had to break it down to the brother and let him know that the man who is speaking is he's well educated in the field in which he's talking about. He's not a me. All right. And even I have done research pertaining to this. Okay. Not extensive, but I am going to go deep. But what I'll share with you what Dr. Layla Africa enlightened me in reference to as it refers to science dealing with us and the Caucasians. All right. And so, and let me just throw this disclaimer out here, because I think that nowadays, when you speak of truth, people tend to see that as hate. I don't know how the two get intertwined and locked like that, but they have nothing to do with each other. Truth is more so related, I think, to love, and a lie is related to hate, because we have been living under a lie for so long, and we see that the history that we were taught was taught to us in the remnants of hate. All right. And everything else about us that was built on a foundation of a lie is related to hate. So I would think that truth is related to love. Now, you might not see that because you may be on the opposite end of it. And you might be saying to yourself, well, hey, no, this is what this is, and this is what that is, and all this kind of stuff here. But so Dr. Layla Africa broke down basically, and that's why I want y'all to go and watch this video for yourself so you can gain your own comprehension of it and understanding. I only understand it as a person should, but maybe some people need a little bit more of, um, like a thorough breakdown of the information. And so what he was saying basically is that, damn it, I wrote it down in the book. Hold on one second. Let me see if I have it. Because one of the things that I like to do is really, really, really come down and hit y'all with some of the truths of this stuff. And I wrote it down because it was some interesting stuff that he talked about. I hope it's in this book. Yep, it's right here. Dr. Layla Africa. Okay, so he breaks down how the Ice Age was 1.5 million years ago. And it stopped 10,000 years ago. Now, this is from the date of the video. Okay, so you figure you have to do your own math. All right, I don't remember when that video was produced and when it was recorded and uploaded to Instagram, or even what year. But if I'm not mistaken, it's in I want to say the 70s. I can't really be too sure. Don't quote me on that. All right, but he talks about 1.5 million years ago, the Ice Age happened, and then it stopped 10,000 years ago. And he said the Ice Age is that receded 5,000 years ago. And so then he says that white people entered into history 4,000 years ago. All right. Which isn't that long. So if I wanted to be accurate when I'm saying this, I probably would have to go and figure out the year that he recorded that video so that I can add the current years to these figures that he came about. But that's neither here nor there. So one of the things that he talked about is where anger and violence come from. Okay. And it has something to do with melanin. So he says that during the time when they came into the world, where they were living was on glaciated soil. All right. Ice Age, glaciated soil. Iceland and other things like that. He even talks about how, since they were raised on glaciated soil, he said they're not European. Okay, like they don't come from the France, Germany, or Sweden. All right. Wait, no. They are Mediterranean empires, not European. I don't know. In European countries, there was a lack of. All right, so that's what I was beginning to tell you guys. So, anyway, in the European countries, there was a lack of selenium, zinc, phosphorus, and potassium, and a lack of these minerals, due to them growing up and eating vegetation off of glaciated soil. They didn't have the minerals that I just mentioned, like we had over in the motherlands and everywhere else where, it wasn't glaciated. They had an abundance of those nutrients and minerals as well as other things. So we are able to get that. And because we were already a melanated people, we kept producing melanin and we never stopped producing melanin, if you can, understand that. So he says that a lack of, these nutrients causes a lack of melanin. All right. And due to a lack of melanin, they have calcified pineal or pineal gland, however you want to say it. Okay. And so that stops or causes the pineal gland is what produces melanin. And when you don't have those, um, those minerals that's associated with the production of melanin, you become to get a little bit violent. All right. And so he talks about this is where schizophrenia comes from, and how they're easily irritated. And without those, you can't make melanin, like I said, which is produced by the pineal gland or the master gland, right? And so a lack of melanin creates no balance or spirituality. Okay. So you develop an obsessive compulsive behavior. All right. And this behavior, the behavior of an addicted person, having to do things step by step. Okay. You got to go listen to it because it makes total sense when you're listening to someone who is well versed and study this and is ready to articulate this to a group of people so they can learn it. All right. And I'm going to find that video for you real quick because I'm doing Dr. Leda Africa a disservice. But he talks about how these people developed a sense of inferiority. And because of the sense of inferiority, they begin to reinvent, all right, and add things into history. So that's why you have the emerald tablets of Egypt and all of the information that was stolen from Egypt being revised. That's why you have the goddess Isis, who the Greeks have Isis, and then the Romans have Venus, that's equivalent to our Het Heru. You understand what I'm saying? That is the reason why those three things are not associated but tied, because one was there before them, before they even had knowledge of it, and then the other two were made after. All right. So he talks about how people who lack those minerals have a very violent nature. All right. And according to studies, this is people who lack these minerals also have, we don't use this term, mentally retardation, but they're mentally exceptional. And exceptional is an inclusive word because it includes those who are very highly intelligent, all the way to the ones that have a delay or a mental exceptionality. That is considered an exceptionality these days. But the Pythagorean theorem, if I'm pronouncing that right, y'all know that the little triangle. All right, y'all. If you're into geometry and science, you already know. That was also taken in this book. They tell you how it says here that even though the people of Central Africa were producing advanced mathematical artifacts over 100,000 years before the Greeks took the Pythagorean theorem, all right, from Egypt. And so this is what, if you look at, or if you know anything about history, you know that they went there and they shaved off all of the noses of the Sphinx and all kinds of stuff. And then when you really look at, I followed this guy on YouTube too, Ronoko Rashidi, and he went all around the country to different places where they had African artifacts. They're in France, they're in Germany, they're in Russia, and they're in Cambodia. I think he said some stuff was. Why are they in all these other places? I could be wrong about Cambodia, but I think he did mention that. And it has nothing to do with them. And so you have to wonder why we don't own or why we don't have anything. And so you have to ask yourself too, why is Egypt in cahoots with this? The Egyptians that are there now. And everything centers, everything is around the center of not actually liking people like myself. All right. Because of the image that they have made or that they have given to us as Black people. And so anyway, this man is talking. I hate the fact that we can't take information from each other. This guy talks about Christianity on there and how it is the root of problems here amongst Black people, not the root of all problems, but just one of the biggest problems. And people fight him all the time. So I think that a part of our problem, in order for us to, because the question is, what do we need to do? And how do we get to a place? And we have to start being cohesive, and we have to start having the openness to allow people to teach us things, especially when it makes sense and it comes to the truth. If you have a guard up as a Black person, and another Black person is trying to teach you something that they've learned, whether they're Brother Runoko Rashidi or Dr. Layla Africa or not, I shouldn't have to be a scholar of something or have a graduate degree in it to tell you the truth about it, especially if it makes sense. And I have all of my resources here for you to see and read and collect for your own self. But we are a hard group of people. And what you learn first, you learn best. I get that. But as the one thing that we have that's failing us right now is that right there, what we learn first, we learn best. We have been taught our history in reverse, the wrong way. And we don't want to learn how. But that's for another day. What I want to talk about is the cohesion of Black folk today, starting with the family structure, the Black woman and the Black man, and then the children. All right. It's amazing for me to see what's going on politically, what's going on economically, and then see how we're coexisting with one another socially. Females, let me tell y'all something. And I posted this on Instagram earlier because I saw a video of a Black man crying because a female took his son. One of the things that I want us to do is be real with one another. Food stamps and welfare is not, Section 8 does not replace a man. I don't think anybody consciously in their mind thinks that that is the answer to not having one. The deficit or the lack of a man's presence in the household is very detrimental, just as the lack of a mother's presence in the household is detrimental as well. The two are needed. I see men all the time say a man will raise a child better than a woman if he was a single dad. Listen, that's divisive. Let's just be honest and clear while I'm talking about this. But women, I hate the fact that while everything is going great, and listen, I can't talk about this if y'all not going to be truthful. If you're not going to take a look into your own inner circles or into your own life and realize that, yeah, you know, she is telling the truth. And many women that are talking and spilling and tired of this shit, they telling the truth too. Then this ain't the way. Don't come here, because I don't want to debate with you. I want to enlighten my people so that we can understand what's exactly going on and what needs to happen from here on out. Because men are needed. All right. Everybody is comfortable with saying, I don't need a man. And that's okay. If you want to say you don't need a man, sister, it's fine. But do not detach your son or your daughter from his or her father because you don't need a man. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you what's better for your kid. All right. Especially if he doesn't want anything to be, to do with your children. Listen, I get that. But using a kid as a pawn, that's an age-old shit. When the dude and you probably, listen, a lot of these women get caught up in the fact that they can, and I'm going to just be candid right now and verbally, I'm expressing myself. I can use other words, but I feel like I need to appeal or I need to be relatable to the crowd that I'm speaking to. All right. Because I'm not speaking to women. I'm speaking to, people who are still in their adolescent mindset. And the reason why I say that is because If you weren't, then you would know and you would do what's better for your kid, no matter what the situation is or what you don't like about the opposite parent. So when we get with these men, you break up with them. And when you break up with them, you use the child as a control mechanism, i.e., a pawn. Okay. And as long as he's doing what you want him to do, you're fine with it. You understand? Some of y'all make it real hard, no matter what the man do, to still make his life miserable. And then you want to keep his son away from, or his child, his daughter, his children away from him. Don't let him get involved with another female. That is it. I don't want my children around her. I don't know her. And you won't even allow yourself to get to know her. But none of that matters, because if your children have a problem, and then some of us even go far as to involve our children in grown-up conflicts and start to tell the children or dictate to the kids how to receive this other woman that their dad is with, thinking that that's going to run her off. But all you're going to do is make him say, you know what? I can't deal with this no more. If that's the way she want to do it, that's all. Because I'm not about to sacrifice my happiness because this chick is miserable and don't want me to be with my child or my children. And a lot of us get into that point where we are so angry because we feel played or we didn't get what we wanted out the deal. And so we have to make him understand and feel it. And so I asked y'all, how long are you going to make him understand and feel it? And how long are you going to make your child suffer? That is something that nobody's thinking about right now. Everybody's thinking about self, especially the Black woman. Nobody's telling you that you're bad. But today we need to redefine and classify exactly what a deadbeat parent is. A deadbeat parent is a parent that will sit down and talk to a child about another parent. I don't give a damn what the situation is. I don't care if he's not giving you any money. It's not your job to sit down there and talk about that parent to that child. That is something that I never did. And I know how it feels to have it done to you. But that is something that I never did, contrary to popular belief. I never done that to my kids. And if I could get one of my kids now separately to sit down and tell them, what did I always tell y'all about y'all dad? When y'all were younger. And they would say, I always told them that, kids need their dad. So I used to have my children call their dad on his birthday. Somebody who didn't call them on theirs often. But we're not going to get into that because I don't want to make this out of that. I just want to let y'all know that to take your egotistical self and implant it in the middle of a child and a parent is dead fucking wrong. All around the board is wrong. And I feel like, that is a huge part of the problem. And listen, the system, the government want y'all to keep doing it because they know how substantial and edifying and enriching it is to have a dad in the home. They know how important it is. So as long as we can keep promoting y'all hate and division, they're going to do it. As long as they can keep creating content developers on Instagram to make y'all converse and splat and just say shit, they're going to do it. It further wedges the gap between Black man and Black woman. You understand what I'm saying? Everybody else, the Vietnamese and the Mexicans, because that's who I'm surrounded by here in New Orleans, they are sticking together and they are making it work. Do they have conflict? Yep. Did they just find a Vietnamese person, at the top of the year in the trunk of a car because she bought a dog in the house and the brother didn't want the dog and he killed her, shot her in the head, I think, and killed her and put it in the trunk? Yeah, they did. They did. They did. But how often do you hear about those things, though? We hear about us in this world killing each other and just having, I came from a job. I was working at the hospital. I'm not going to name the hospital. And they had this one lady who I'm not going to name either. Y'all got to know I wanted to beat the piss out of this lady. Trust me, I did. I am just getting into my spiritual, you know, balance. Let's just say that. And had I not been involved in trying to evolve as a person, I think I would have, as a grown woman, I would have beat the piss out that lady and left and ruined my certification and my chances of getting a job ever in that field again, because we treat each other really, really bad. I didn't know the lady. I was there less than 4 months and she already decided that she didn't like me. But because I saw the mess and how she talked about people behind their back, because I'm very observative when I go on a job or anywhere in any group setting. I'm observing people, I'm looking at them, I'm seeing every day how they look, how they work, how they operate, with people and all that kind of stuff, how they deal with people. And she just wasn't somebody that I wanted to affiliate or associate myself with on any level. So I kept it cordial. Hey, and she cracked a joke, I laughed. You understand what I'm saying? It started when I was having conversations in the break room. She would come in there. Nobody don't want to hear about that. I wasn't talking to you. You understand what I'm saying? And I would say it with an attitude to let her know. And then it went from, and it all started because I started talking to someone that she no longer was fond of or liked anymore. And women, we got that shit bad. That is something, Black women, that is something that, one thing I'm going to tell y'all about our counterpart, white women, is this, because I had a problem with them. Okay, they didn't know I was licensed to do the job that I was supposed to be trained to do, because I came in doing something else, and they couldn't stand each other before I got there. Everybody around them told me that. Okay, you know how it is when you go to the jobs. And one of the things that they did, these 4 white women, they came together on one thing, and they unified. I unified them. And the basis was, we are not going to train her. And my supervisor did not make them train me. I never knew that on a job, when you were given an order or a job or a duty to do or task to perform by your supervisor, you can refuse it and not get written up for it. She was white too, though. Should she have written them up? Absolutely. My director was Black and she didn't give a shit either. Okay? But they came together, y'all. They came together. And let me tell you about the Mexicans, that the women who was working on the construction site, because the hospital was being remodeled. All right. They was putting a new emergency room in this hospital. This was recent. This was not too long ago. I just left that job in December of 2023. All right. So the Mexicans wasn't worried about, please don't take this personal, y'all, because I'm not being racist, but I know people gonna say that it is, because I always say La Hacienda or Esmeralda. That's my favorite thing. It's no different from y'all saying Bonquisha or Keisha or something like that when y'all are referencing Black women. All right. But they had a Mexican woman. I would go to work at 8 o'clock in the morning. All right. I get there at 7. She got a broom and she's sweeping the welcome mat of the hospital. At 4 o'clock when I clocked off, ask me where she was. In the front of the hospital, sweeping the same welcome mat. Ask me though, how many Mexican women ran up to the supervisor and said, Ramona has been sweeping this floor mat since 8 o'clock this morning. And I'm sitting up here putting up, what's the little asbestos ceiling square thingies? Yeah, I'm sitting up there installing that and picking boxes up from one area and bringing them to another. They didn't care because they probably were getting paid really good, but they wasn't worried about Ramona. If that were Black women, they would have went and talked and told the supervisor, Ramona been sweeping that same. White people didn't bother Ramona. She looked at them and took that broom and swept. Hi, good morning. And every day, or sometimes she didn't even speak to them. She just swept. And it was the same woman for about a month. Now, if that ain't milking a cow, I don't know what it is. But I looked at them, and you can't get mad at something like that. You have to embrace it because that's what we need to be doing. Mind your own damn business when you're on these jobs. We cannot exist or coexist like that. And that's one of the things that bothers me about us as a people, because as I'm sitting here and trying to unify, and that's why I said before I talk about shifting the paradigm, of where we are mentally, we have to first talk about some of these issues. So there's the division in the family between black males and females. You understand? Sooner or later, in about 5, 10, 15 more years, little black and brown men ain't gonna want to deal with black women, because the consensus is black women are foul creatures in every aspect of the way. And I am sitting here as one that is not, and I hate to hear that, but then I look around and I think about my relationship, not only in my family, but with certain people that I took on as friends that aren't here today, certain cousins that I thought I was real close to. I find out later that they really don't like you, but they, and it's weird. I know other people probably are going through this too, y'all, but we have a very huge problem within our group with this shit. And if we don't get it together soon, and I mean very soon, that's why I say, when is the time to start administrating social behaviors that will cause a shift in our thinking and how we deal with one another? The time is absolutely right now. It's not. Don't wait till Donald Trump or the government, because he's not the only one that wants to birth Project 22 into existence. All right. These people have been working on this shit since November of 2020, probably. I can't remember, but the indentured servitude law was up here in Louisiana, in New Orleans in particular. I do remember about 2 or 3 years ago, it was up to vote. It was on the voting ballot. You understand what I'm saying? And they said that would be pertaining to people in jail. And so my thoughts on that was, the people in jail are already paying for their punishment with time. How can we, how is this Constitution able to do double jeopardy? That's not for no jail people that are incarcerated, y'all. They took away affirmative action very, very happily. And we are going backwards. We are regressing. Today, July the 25th, 2024, right now, there is a very viral video of an officer who shot Sonia Massey in the head. Now, and I often ask my sister and my boyfriend, who I talk to a lot, and my friend, Shalita, I ask her, when are we going to sit down and look? When will we get it? Why don't we see that we need to come together now more than ever? I have no idea. We would rather be caught up in what Lil Scrappy and Bambi and Erica are doing, and Sukihana getting her toes sucked by a random freaking female. And that's another damn thing. I've never seen black women so, it's like a rebellious kid. You know how the church kid, the pastor's kid, couldn't do a lot of things because their parents were strict, and when they did come out, they were some of the wildest children ever. I think it's almost as if that's what black women are doing. But I want to ask, who suppressed you? We just had standards. And I would like for us to normalize not sleeping with people's husbands or people's boyfriends. I myself am not a perfect person. You understand what I'm saying? But at the same time, I never gloated about being in a situation like that. I never thought that was something that was a good thing to do. I never wanted to be in that situation. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes lies are spewed in a way and actions are taken that will make you believe a certain thing pertaining to a certain person in that situation. But when you find out what's happening, it is your moral duty to do the right thing. You understand what I'm saying? And now more than ever, people, if your old man have money and she see him and he tender, she gonna get him. You know what I'm saying? Not too many men are walking around here with moral standards in regards to their relationship, and not too many women. And it's always going to be easy because if if the women are more susceptible to doing whatever they got to do to get whatever they got to get. Like here we got this guy called Keith Carroll in New Orleans, and for some reason, and I'm not knocking him, but for some reason, people who have drama, like they have girls that call when they find out that the old man was gay, and they call and they give him the pictures, the text messages, and all that kind of stuff. They got girls who call because their friend, who they introduced to a dude to have a threesome with, kind of backdoored them, and now the dude don't want nothing to do with her or little to do with her, and he done bought the chick a house and the car, a nice foreign whip or something like that. Listen, what the fuck is, and he got a girlfriend. So this is two women that are fussing over when, are we gonna get out of this? And listen, I know that we can't clean up the whole floor, right? You're gonna leave some debris, all right? But god damn, we are one of the most beautiful, strong, courageous, intelligent women in the world. And let's not forget that a lot of people want to be like the black woman. Look at those BBLs. Even a black woman has been compromised in such a way where she forgot that you already have that. And I get it. Every black woman isn't shaped like a voluptuous African, or indigenous woman. All right. But you are made the way that you are supposed to be. Get that together. Piece that together. Keep yourself healthy. You know what I'm saying? But by all means, I'm not talking about women that have BBLs either. I'm just saying how we are the ones that everybody want to be like, but we are looking for change anywhere else. They got white women that's getting BBLs. Why do you think that is? They're trying to appeal to the black man. Why do you think that is? It's not because he got a long. It's not. And for some people, it might be. I can't really sit here and say that it's not because the man got a long wee wee. All right. But it is simply because they know and they understand. I watched this. I wish I had a video editor because I get these little clips and I save them to my phone and I want to edit or do it side by side. But I have a video clip in here of a few white men at the table, and I'm quite sure you guys saw this clipping because it's really old. This was like my third or fourth time seeing it circulate on internet. But they're sitting down and they're talking about how they want to. It's about 5 or 6 young black women at a table, and they're sitting down and they're talking about how they want to buy their eggs. All right, not their placenta, because none of these women at the table are married. Are pregnant. But how they want to buy their eggs because of the genetic compounds or the genetic qualities that are associated with the African American woman's eggs. All right. And for those of you who don't want to admit to it, listen, they already did the mitochondrial DNA and all that other stuff. You can go Google it, go look it up. And if you're not set at rest, I don't know what to tell you. But these white men were sitting at a table. They were old. They looked like they were about 70, 80, something. I don't know if they were 80. You know how they age, but they were old. And then one man who looks about 79 or 80-ish, I'm not gonna lie to you, he looked about 80. He went on to talk about how there are medicinal advantages in the placenta of black women and all sorts of stuff. And so the ladies, he was like, we want to buy y'all eggs for $100. Well, who in the hell wants to go through surgery to have an egg taken out for a fucking $100? Look at how bad, like how foolish that he thinks your mind is. And so the women were like $100. And one woman said, I'm not selling it, and stuff like that. But listen, we have to do better at getting along with one another and dealing with each other. Point blank, period. Because what was going to happen is we're going to wait to the Hunger Game days. That's what I call them, or the Purge-rific days. All right. And that's when we're going to start to try and kumbaya and we shall overcome and squint together. And at that point, it'll be great, but it'll also be too late because the damage will already be done. So I'm calling on all of us, and I could go on and on and on and talk about a lot of things that sisters do to ruin. I remember a video of a woman who was probably mad. Listen, I know these men be cheating and they hurt your heart, Lord. They hurt your heart. They hurt your soul because you be loving them so much and not want to let them go, but you just don't understand that you are not the one. He just wants to get his gun in your, how could I say this? No, I'm not going to use gun. He just wants to get his thing in your thing. You understand what I'm saying? And we know this. I can give you several accounts of it. All right. There was this one situation, not accounts of this, but I'm just talking about how we ruin the lives of our children and the men that father these kids. This is an old one where the lady lied to her children, like manipulated her little girls into saying that their daddies raped or touched her because the daddy and her either split up or he didn't want to be with her anymore. So she conjured up this story that he touched the little girls and she fed them the story and the little girls believed it. And so that is what they told the police. That is what they testified in front of a judge. And when the children were in their 30s, the mom, I don't know if this was on Iyanla, it was on one of these little shows because it was the saddest thing to see. But the man was strong because he held on. Do y'all know what that'll do to an individual, man, when his daughters are accusing him of something that he did not do? And he has to live with the reaction from his family, his friends, even his daughters. He has to live with the punishment for that. That's hefty. But when they were 30 something, they were grown women. The mother had a come to Jesus moment. She sat down with the two young ladies and the dad, and she told them the truth. And the man broke down and started crying. And so did the girls. And he asked, "Why did you do that?" I don't remember what her response was because it wasn't enough for me. It just wasn't. Because you took all those years from those girls having a very beautiful relationship with their father. And who knows if this man went into a deep depression because of it. And nobody faulted you. The woman served no jail time. But see, that's because the system does not care about what's right. They don't care about the damage that this shit does. The judge could have even seen a big ass gap in the lie and still decided that she was going to go forward with the sentencing or, punishment for this man for this crime. That's one incident. Another incident dealing with that very same thing we saw on Facebook Live. The man shoot his first baby mama and his second baby mama. Black man, black women, because the first baby mama wrung his ass through the ringer, okay, and lied and said that he did something to the child. He explained that to the second baby mama when they were together, and when they separated, she did the exact same thing that the first baby mama did to him with the daughter, and went to the people and told them people that man was molesting that baby. So now he got 2 charges. And listen, they're going to eat it up even more so because this is the second damn time that we have been told that you have done this to a child, a minor. So we don't know what he was going through. He went and he shot her dad, and he shot himself. Children ain't got no parents. In retrospect, though, even if he wouldn't have killed them, the children still don't have any parents because he is consumed with depression and a thought, of not being able to be around his kids and having that lie on both sides, fanning him in his face. You understand what I'm saying? And then they are not functioning as parents because they're corrupting their children's minds. Y'all have any idea what that type of shit does to a kid? If they're able to understand and conceive the information that they're being taught, like those two girls that I gave in the first situation. So that's one incident. Then I see on Instagram another incident where a young lady had this big old extravagant birthday party for her baby, and the daddy came. Now listen, he could have not come with his girlfriend at the time, but I don't think it would have really made a difference. You understand? And it should make a difference. If you are totally and like seriously done with your child's father and you don't have no feelings for him, you don't do this type of shit. You just don't. All right? You don't. I was a single woman, and my kid's father used to tell me he didn't have a place to take the children. So you know what I did? Okay, you can come and see your kids here because I wanted my children to have that relationship with their daddy. I did. I made arrangements, and if he would be a real one and tell you the truth, accept the truth about the situation one day, he'll tell you. I didn't give him any of those problems. I asked, do you have, this one wants these tennis shoes or this one wants this game. Can you go have with me? The answer was always no. It took me a while to go to them people for help and assistance. It took me a minute. You understand what I'm saying? But I just want y'all to understand that as a unit, as a mother and a father, separate or together, it can be done because people, black men and black women, are doing it. It's just not enough. You have so many undereducated, and people might say, but what does education have to do? An educated person just don't act a certain type of way. I'm sorry. When they're educated about the dynamics surrounding raising a child, that's what I'm talking about. Just a person with compassion. Like if you ever grew up with your mother and your father or without one, then you would do whatever you needed to do to make sure that your children grew up with their father. If you grew up with your father and you know how that feels and how that aids in the child's, how that reflects a child's life. And if you didn't grow up with your dad, you would want your child to grow up with their dad because of what you lack as an individual, as a person. If you're able to see that. You understand what I'm saying? I have another incident where a young lady got pregnant for this dude who is a young basketball player, I think, a football player. She sends him a text message and says, I'm pregnant. The young man sent another text message back saying, oh, I don't want to be no daddy. He sends her $11,000. An abortion does not cost $11,000. She, in return, goes and have the abortion, but sends him a text message back saying something to the extent of, when I was sad with my first son, when I aborted him 2 weeks in gestation. I don't know how the fuck she knew she was pregnant with a son. But ladies, y'all got to fucking stop. For real. If you were so caught up on and hung up on, and I'm not downing y'all, I just want y'all to take some responsibility and accountability as an individual. If you were so hung up the first time you had an abortion, then you should have done everything in your power not to have a second, third, or fourth one. Which means that if you fucking somebody, right, and he flying you out, you getting fucked, y'all having a good time, and he's sending you back home, and you not his girlfriend, you both are in that situation. Not just him. Yes, y'all were not acting in the best interest of both of y'all because he's the athlete with the money. He should have first made sure that but if I'm under the understanding, if we have an understanding that, listen, we ain't doing nothing but fucking and having a good time, I shouldn't have to tell you that if you get pregnant, I don't want to have the baby with you because me and you not together. But I think fellas, y'all might start having to do that. And females, y'all might start having to sit down and have this conversation. Look, I know we just fucking, but if I get pregnant, I might want to keep the baby. So do you think we should use condoms? Don't poke holes in the condoms, though, ladies. Don't not take your birth control pill so you can have a baby, because that's what y'all doing out here anyway. And you wonder why you have these lopsided parental, wars between y'all two. I didn't like you like that in order for you to be my baby's mother. And I listen, I don't know how y'all feel about it, but I won't want to have a baby with a guy that don't want to have a baby with me. I'm sorry. So as a person, if you don't want to have an abortion, do what you have to do so that you won't put your body through that. It's your right, but it's a little lopsided when it comes down to that. The female has all of the power and the male has none. Once his sperm leave his sac and it fertilizes that egg, his power is stripped away from him. Because if he doesn't want to be a father, it's too bad. If she wants to have that baby, that's exactly what's going to happen. Okay? And it's wrong. It's not fair. It just isn't. And a lot of people might say, well, what you listen, it's common sense. If we're grown enough to have sex with each other unprotected, we should be grown enough to understand the dynamics around it. But because these men have money, because I guarantee you, if this was a broke dude or just a regular dude with an Amazon job, they pay good too. You understand what I'm saying? I'm living my best life. He's fine. He's sexy. He got those muscles from lifting those boxes. I like the way he look. I like the way he feel. I like the things that he do to me, but I just don't want to have his baby. Nip, clipped, and done. Made the appointment, you go do it, and bam. But when you're dealing with somebody that have money, and that's why, fellas, y'all have to start being a little bit more, guarded in that situation. I don't care how fine she is. You don't know a person until you have to deal with a person in a certain situation. Or I should say, you don't know how a person's going to respond in a certain situation until that situation presents itself. Then you'll figure it out. But by then, it's already too late. She's already made up her mind. I'm keeping this baby. Now, this sister didn't keep the baby. She did have an abortion. And I don't know, I guess it was just to go ahead on and embarrass him or whatever, or let people understand that she had an abortion and she felt bad about it, as you should feel bad, because you just did away with the precious life, all because you were careless. Listen, women, it's your body. It's your body. Listen, if I'm not ready for a kid, I'm not going to just have one just because the man is rich. I'm not. I ain't. I wouldn't have. So we as Black women do a lot of messed up shit, and we are one of the only groups of women that I hear running around here saying that I don't need a man. Everybody else, the white woman has her man in the household, even with Section 8 and food stamps and welfare, because they get it too. The Mexican has her man in the home. The Vietnamese has her man in the home. The Afghani has her man in the home. Everybody has their man in the home. Nobody, y'all don't see the tactics that are being used to manipulate and gaslight us into accepting this fucking independent woman role. We're alone in society. When they turn their backs on us too, who do we have? You need to build a foundation with somebody. There has to be somebody out there. And if you haven't found them, don't make it anybody. But we just have to stop coexisting as if we have no mind or if we can't think as a group of people, because that's what it seemed like to me. It seems to me from where I'm sitting as if we don't have the mind, the brain that the good Lord, has given us. All right. If some of y'all can relate to that. But it seems like we just don't have the godlike minds that we're created to have, that create these thoughts of intellect that will have us doing the right thing. You can have fun, a million different coke, smoke, weed, drink every day, go clubbing all night, but you still can be a conscientious person. You can be a person that thinks. You understand what I'm saying? That's not healthy. I don't condone it, but you still can be a person that thinks. You still can be a person that wakes up and still say, I ain't gonna be this shit bag of a woman. You know what I'm saying? I think we have given men and only men and place them under the term deadbeat without understanding that a deadbeat is a woman who does those things that I mentioned previously to a man when it comes down to his child. You are a deadbeat. You are a deadbeat. You are a deadbeat for sacrificing that child's happiness, that child's wholesomeness. You understand, that child from having the other half of her or his life in theirs because they don't want to be in yours. And I challenge everybody that will come across this video and see it to sit down. If you find yourself in this situation, and absolutely think about this: is the father a bad dad? Is this a man who does not come around and I want you to understand this: if the man doesn't come around because you are a big factor in him not coming around, you understand what I'm saying? If you have something to do with that, then don't answer this question in the wrong way. But if he's not a bad dad, you understand what I'm saying? Then maybe it is you. Maybe this isn't about. I don't care about what went on in y'all relationship. This is about the child or the children that are in the middle. And I feel like in order for us to get a hold on a lot of other things, we have to start in the home first. That's why I'm starting off with the division between Black women and men. We are socially disconnected from anything morally right and just as Black women. Kevin Samuels and a lot of other men are extremely harsh, okay, in presenting facts about the situation. And I don't take anything that he says about Black women without a grain of salt, because if you listen to that man, you know what I'm saying, you would swear to God that Black women are just the whores of the universe, and that is not the case. But this is not about him. This is not about anybody. This is about, and that's part of the reason why I said I wanted to talk about this, because we have so many people that are putting fuel to the flame, just growing the flame, adding fuel to the fire, making it a bigger fire than it already is. And we don't have enough people sitting down, actually honing in and having a wholesome conversation. I can tell you everything about men, because just as I can see what's happening with women, I also can see what men are doing too. That's neither here or there. We know what's going on. We're living it. We're experiencing it, whether it's personally in our own lives with our own baby daddies, husbands, ex-husbands, or it's our friends. We are living and seeing it. The solution, though, and the shift that has to happen in now is us seeing it and coming together and figuring out how to coexist once again. It wasn't always like this. It wasn't. And if you don't think that you have a part in it, if you're one of these people, I don't know what to say. I'm talking to Black women right now. I'm gonna let a man, you understand, go on his YouTube channel or podcast and talk to men about what they're doing. Because if they think that they're squeaky clean and all of this, they are wrong. Okay. But as my boyfriend liked to tell me, I cannot speak for a man. And he's absolutely right. I cannot speak for a man. I can't. So I won't. That doesn't mean that I cannot speak on what they do, but I won't even waste a minute of time doing that. I'm speaking to you, female sister, because I am concerned about the future and the state of us being one unit, in a functioning unit. I am concerned with us and how we see and deal and view one another. I am concerned with us growing up from where we are. It's not too late, but it will be soon, and very soon. And so I hope that this helps somebody. I hope that, y'all can even, of course, comment. I don't care. And I'll try to look at it and respond. I'll try to go live too and respond to, write your names down and respond to your shit. You know what I mean? Because I feel like a conversation needs to start now. It does. Because we're at a state where we're tired, we're frustrated, and we're overwhelmed. We have so much on our backs as Black women, but you have to turn around and ask, is it really because what I don't like about us is that once a mistake is made, we don't give too many chances to rectify. We're not understanding either. I can remember being 13 years old. My biological father was not in my life from the time I was able to open my eyes and realize I had my father there, who raised me, who helped raise me. So I know, you know, and listen, they didn't have all of the information that we needed, at hand, as a family. They were still figuring it out, my mom and my dad. But the time that they were together, you know what I mean? It done something to and for us as kids, I think. You know what I mean? Um, but my biological dad was on drugs. Um, but I met him when I was 6 in his family, and I've been attached to my dad's my paternal family from the moment that I met him. Sweet, lovable people. Um, and growing up, I really didn't understand the responsibility a parent had to their kid. I just wanted to be, and that's what I want to tell you guys. These kids they're not counting how many times their dad bought their shoes or their uniforms. They're not counting how many times you do it. They don't give a shit about that. They give a care about the time that's spent and the time that's put into nurturing and developing them. And when I was 13 years old, I was able to understand that my dad was addicted to drugs. And it was not him that was causing him to be absent. Yes, it was his choices. But right now, this is the substance that's ruling his life. And at 13, I understood that. So I still made him feel like he had a responsibility because I remember asking him for money. And when I was 11 in the 11th grade and the 12th grade, I asked him for budget money, knowing that I wouldn't get it. I didn't expect to get it from him, but I still made him feel like the responsibility was there. And I didn't get it. And it turned into me, growing up. And I can remember being 15 years old, walking with him down the street, just talking to him and, asking him, when was he going to change? Because this life that he's living is going to lead to two things, death or death. You understand what I'm saying? They take you to jail for using drugs, but you're only in there for a short period of time, and then they put you back on the street because they don't really care. And death, can come quick or slow. You understand? And when I had my children, I met him again and said, Dad, you have grandkids for me and my siblings. When are you going to give your life to getting to know them? I brought my children to an abandoned house where my dad was staying there so they can meet him. Because that was a part of me. And so I think that, and I gave y'all that situation because my mom allowed me to do that. She allowed me to be in my dad's life. She did not talk bad about my dad to me when I was growing up. She didn't disrespect him in front of me or around me or, in a conversation about him to me when I was growing up or at all. You know what I'm saying? Because once you accept what reality is, you move on. And that's what I'm asking y'all to do. Like, stay out of the mix. Let your kid. My dad chose drugs over me and the rest of my siblings. He did, because he wasn't not just in my life, he wasn't in theirs either. And I still was looking, even though I had a father figure in a household, I still was looking for my match with my dad. And I thank my mom for allowing me to be able to do that. Because had she tainted my mind with all kinds of other thoughts and things, then I probably wouldn't have even looked for a relationship with him. But what I'm trying to tell y'all is life happens to us all. Sometimes people get addicted to drugs. Sometimes people are selfish. That's not and this is to people that are warranted the understanding. If you're dealing with a man that just voluntarily don't want nothing to do with your kids because you don't want anything to do with him, obviously it's different. I've been there. This is a different situation. I'm talking to the females though who blatantly go out of their way. You know what I mean? I mean, they are avid about not letting the dad see the kid. You understand? Get out the way. Because it's not about you. It's about that child. You are an individual yourself. And think about, and I think that most of us don't think about that, but think about what it is that you could have gained from having your father in your life if you didn't have him in your life. Because I think that's where this comes from. If I didn't have my dad and I'm all right, but you're not. You're not okay, because what you're doing is wrong. So I'm going to close this up, and I hope that this speaks to somebody. You know what I'm saying? Because, see, one of these good days I want to talk about Christianity, but I do want to leave y'all with this, though. That whole saying, do unto others as you want others to do unto you, follows the law of attraction. You understand? What you do to somebody comes right back to you tenfold. And you might think that it's not coming, but it does. You start looking at your life and see where things could be better for you, but they aren't. I don't care if you got a good job, something in your life ain't going right. And if it is, it's only for a moment. But if you want those blessings to continue and you want no interruption, do the right thing. Now is the time for you to do the right thing. Now is the time for you to understand that this isn't about you. This is about your children. This is about your child. This is about you making a wrong right. I'll come back later and talk about how we fix us as a group socially, our social behaviors toward one another. Listen, men can't even open doors for females these days. I got a boyfriend. He opened a door. Like, I get so many, times, a man will tell me, excuse me, you are so beautiful. And listen, I'm not trying to talk to you or anything. I don't want to, I'm not flirting with you. I'm just telling you, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, listen, sir, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And they walk on and they go about their business. I have seen and experienced situations where a man will open a door for a woman and she'll go through. She's not on the phone, distracted by the phone conversation. She'll go through and she would not turn around and tell that man, thank you. But we are quick to say that chivalry has died. Has it? Or has the respect of a person died so much so within our group that we just don't know how to be respectful these days or how to respect one another? I see it on both sides. I saw an old woman. She looked like she was about 71, but in good shape. Her car died on Iberville in Galvez, or is that Bienville in Galvez? I can't remember. Out here in New Orleans, and the lady is out there with her hood up, and so many men pass by. That shocked me. I'm an 80s baby. And that shocked the shit out of me to see, to the point where I pulled over to try and help her. You know what I mean? Because I'm just not used to that. I'm not. We just don't take care of our own anymore. And that is the big problem. That's the biggest problem we have right now today in our community. We don't take care of our own, but we're quick to rally when Trayvon Martin was killed, when Sandra Bland was murdered. And don't get me wrong, those are very, 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 very good reasons to stick together, to band together and protest. But we have to band together when things like that aren't happening. We have to band together when it is time, because if I can't talk to you, sis, then who can? You know, a lot of us have friends that are no good for us. And that's another conversation for another day. All right. So until tomorrow or next time, see y'all later. Don't forget, soon I'm going to be reading this book. And I think I'm just going to tune in, read a couple of chapters, take some notes, and then start reading from this book on Instagram for about maybe an hour, 30 minutes, just to break down the book and give y'all some facts as they pertain to the information that's in the book, and then let y'all go from there. So see y'all later. I'm sorry that this was an hour and 20 minutes long, but I just needed to get that off my chest. I hope that we can, because listen, if we're not together, we can't fight things like Project 2025. If we're not together, we can't fight things like um the social economy and where we stand in it. If we're not together, we cannot do a lot of things. And first thing we have to, how can we come together if we can't even get along on a basic platform? Well, we should be able to. If we can't greet one another properly, then how can we come together? And that's what I'm trying to explain to y'all. Like, the time is now. We have to start getting this shit together. We have to start building a stronger foundation, and we have to start targeting things that we know are immediate wrongs when it comes down to social behavior with Black men and women, Black people, period. You understand? But like I said, if I can't talk to my sister and get her to do the right thing based off of what I see, then who can? Who are you going to listen to? Jennifer Butterfly? She irritates the shit out of some of y'all because it's a white girl that's talking about Black people shit. So peace, and until next time, thank y'all for tuning in to Chic Speak.